Yo, what is up folks, Strategy here, and yesterday I played a Regional Championship Qualifier for RC Prague in the modern format, promos. Okay. I did finish top 2, I did lose the finals unfortunately, hey, it happens. But I played something a bit off the beaten track for the current modern format, and that is Rhinos. I thought I'd run through the deck. It's not a great Nadu matchup, but there are some cards you can play to help that. I wasn't expecting a lot on Nadu. This is a small tournament, there's hard cap of 16 players. But had like people traveling for like grinders traveling from across the country to come play, because it's kind of like a known store. They just don't have that much space. 4 rounds cut to top 4, so not like a large number of rounds to win. But hey, I think grinders is a decent choice. You have a lot of flexibility with your sideboarding, have a lot of disruption, you can just get a bunch of free wins. And let's run through the list here. We have, let me make sure these on camera. Watch this agent. Let's not knock everything either. 4 ardent plea and 4 crashing foothalls. Yeah. Escalating crashing footballs to make your rhinos, This is a game plan. And like you could play this in a banned shell, but some of the red cards are pretty cool. And we're playing some new stuff as well. Normal rhinos, I don't think is powerful enough right now. And so we are playing Scion of Draco with the Leylines of the Guild Pact. Alongside, of course, Leyline Binding, just very clean removal for everything. Hits like, you guys hit non-land permanents, things like Necro as well. That deck was very popular. There were a couple people playing that today on the day, as well as your normal removal, just incredibly efficient, and also like one ring and that kind of thing. An innovation, or something that's become quite popular now, is playing Phlage here. You can flip your graveyard quite quickly. I am playing an Arena of Glory, for better or worse. Giving you some life gain as well with some of the aggro matchups, especially Boros, which we'll talk about. That's why I lost to the finals. Yeah, just really solid. And just another line of attack there. So like, even if your opponent gets rid of your crashing footfalls, you've still got Dracos, you've still got these. And I thought let's go through the rest of the removal as well. So really just like slow removal, it's like 3 mana, 3 damage is like fine. And there are matchups where like at post game 1 you'll like trim it because your opponent will bring in graveyard hate. Or things like people want to surgical strategy rhinos is a bit weaker for games 2 and 3. And that's fine, you can like trim a copy every now and again. Removal wise, so we have Fire and Ice, which is incredible. Great versus Boros. I'm only playing 2 copies, there's a reason for that. Because of the number of decks playing the Wandering at the minute, I was expecting a lot of Jeskai and some Mono Black. I'm playing 2 copies of Bonecrusher Giant in the main deck. There are matchups like Jeskai, where like you probably want to roll these out still, but having that edge game 1 where you can go, hey, I'm going to get through your damage prevention. You can stomp yourself or one of your creatures to get through the Ring's protection clause, and just overrun them with the Rhinos. When it happens, it's really cool. Did not come up yesterday, but hey, I think playing this split's fine as long as you've got enough blue cards for the pitch spells that you want to play. So then, around those pitch spells, we're playing 4 Force Negation. This is kind of just, obviously, you just have to play this pretty much. Wandering, Necro, a bunch of other stuff. You don't get to use it to defend your combo anymore, but it is still just crucial, I think. And so here we go. And then, if there's anything that I would like to find space for, it is fitting more copies of Salty into the stack. If you could play 4, I feel really great about it, but I think you need to play all the other things. I don't really want to trim on the Phlage, that's one area. I don't think you can carry the removal spells. I think you need the forces, and then all the cascade stuff's kind of auto-include. So hey. 2 Salties, I'm playing 2 more on the sideboard. We'll get to that as well. But yeah. And then lastly, 3 copies of Lorien Rebuilt. Which was kind of an all-star. I was a bit fortunate in a couple of places. I got to hardcast this a couple of times. Be like, oh, okay, we've gone like traded 1 for 1 for some removal spells, or 2 for 1. I'm gonna cast Lorien Revealed and kind of get ahead. There was one particular instance where I just drew the best 3 cards in my deck I needed off of it, and yeah, really cool. And obviously fixes your mana and stuff, which can be a problem. We'll talk about Blood Moon in a moment. But before I go through some of the matchups, one Arena of Glory. Controversial, in that it's probably it's a bit iffy. Right? Your mana base is a little shaky. It can be attacked with things like Blood Moon. And hey, the upside of this, like you can use it with Scion of Draco, you can use it with Phlage and feel like pretty decent about it. Obviously with Phlage it's incredible. Scion of Draco can still be pretty good. Just getting in that damage straight away. And it was mostly entering untapped. For the full disclosure, over like the 6 matches I played yesterday, I think I had it in play once and it came into play untapped. So not a large sample size. Take everything with the grain of salt. Fetches, we've got a full Feather Strand, we've got 4 Misty Rainforest, 2 Arameses, and the basics we're playing are 1 Plains, 1 Island. These let you cast Ardent Plea. Importantly, the Plains lets you cast Leyline Bindings, get rid of Blood Moon or Mages to the Moon, either or. These can be a real problem. But with Leyline, if you have a Leyline in play, these do get to tap for all your types still. So often, like, you want to fetch basics with the index anyway, but then even though you're getting like a Plains and an Island, if you have a Leyline in play, you can still tap these for green, for black, for white, whatever, for red, whatever. anything you need. So fanning these is quite important if you can get the ley line down at least. And that to that end, that changes how you want to sideboard slightly. You want to make sure you like versus like Boros, where they're gonna have a bunch of like blood moon effects. Like you don't necessarily want to take leave your forces in because they don't really hit much else. However, if you leave, and you probably want to cut like Dracos maybe, but leaving the ley lines in and being able to fetch the basics and play towards that is good, I think. And then like some Shocklands, so one Halathine, one Steam Vents, one Temple Garden, one Stomping Ground, and then some Surveil lands. We have one Thundering Falls and one Lush Portico, with the one tri-land we're playing being Xander's Lounge. So ideally you're like fetching this on turn 1, turn 2 fetching the Temple Garden to be able to turn out everything on for you. Very solid. Similarly, like, hey, if you have the Xander's Lounge, you fetch the Sportico, that gets you 5 colors, etc. Deck was very, very good. I can go through my sideboard. And then, yeah, I can talk a little bit about the individual matchups I played. So, one Janeth Mage. Wasn't expecting a load of the mirror, but like, hey, I wanted this versus Storm. And was playing like Living End and that kind of thing. I did not board it in at all yesterday, which I guess is an indictment. More creatures, 2 copies of Endurance as kind of like graveyard hate of choice, or potentially you'll board it in as a way to reshuffle your Rhinos into your deck in some of the slower, grindier matchups. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the 2 extra copies of Subtlety versus Tron for some of the creature decks. Just like, I would love to be able to fit 4 of these into the main deck, and I've just not been able to do it. I think there's just too many creature points. Like, creatures, 4 copies of Mystical Dispute. Hey, 50-50 versus something like Nadu, because they can have the dry. They can have Halfling to make your Nadu uncountable. But Jeskai, some of the other matchups as well. This is just playing less than 4 seems like a colossal mistake. This is an interesting one. I'm playing 2 copies of Deafening Clarion. I was playing Wear-Tear here and decided that I wasn't that worried about having Artifact Enchantment hitting my sideboard with the Leyline bindings yesterday. And it's partly a shout out to Boros. Being able to clear the board, but then also give my Rhinos lifelink to get that life back. Just pretty important. Unfortunately, did not draw it in my Boros matchup, which I guess contributed to me losing in the finals. But I'm still kind of 50-50 on this. Obviously, you can't play less than 3 mana sweepers. The downside to this is that you do need the white source, the plains in play, and then obviously if they turn your mountains, you can still cast this. And it clears things up. Okay. And then 4 more cards. 2 copies of Commander. There are a couple of points to you on this, mostly versus Tron. There's a couple other matchups where it's like pretty good, but I think still worth playing. And people aren't really expecting. No one's part of the reason for this lesson this deck in the first place is that no one's really worried and like expecting Rhinos and has a plan for it. And so, okay, getting even more free wins is solid. And then lastly, another kind of interesting card is 2 copies of Damping Matrix. So when you're on the play, you can get this down on your turn 3 before they get turned to have their turn 3, and hopefully you're not dead already. Versus Nadu, a lot of the enchantment artifact they're playing are creature based. They're playing multiple copies of Haywire Might. They do have 1 Beseiju, but this turns off artifacts. Well, turns off non-mana abilities of artifacts and creatures. So stops the Shuko, but also stops all the other shenanigans. I didn't play against Nadu. There was nobody playing Nadu yesterday, which is crazy. But hey, nice. But I did play against Yawgmoth once, and yeah, shut everything down. It's a little slow at 3 mana. Obviously, 3 mana is actually the sweet spot for the deck anyway, because of the Cascade stuff. And so I thought I'd play it, see how it goes. So far, I've been pretty happy with it, but obviously it is fragile. And if you do get it Beseiju, it feels bad. Like, but they're going to Beseiju most of your hate cards. So, hey. And they only have 1. And again, like, they don't get to Haywire Might it. They don't get to, like, yeah. Turns off the core as well as turns off both the core creature ability and the Shukos as well, so kind of gets both angles. They're not playing like most lists aren't playing like a Reclamation Sage effect. They're going like more on the the Haywire Might playing with that turn abilities, which just turns off, thankfully. That's the deck. I was like pretty happy with it. I was between this playing Jeskai. I had a pretty nice like a Leyline binding Jeskai list that I was pretty happy with, or Dredge, which I keep telling myself is good. But hey, I'm not super happy with the Nadu matchup there either. But decided to run Rhinos. Like the disruption that you get, all the free spells, just efficiency. You've a bunch of free wins between Rhinos having Leyline Draco, and you have great removal and disruption. I can't complain about any of that stuff. The Storm matchup is awkward, especially game 1. Your removal spells don't kill Ral, which is tough, apart from binding. And then post-board, like if you're on the play, you're kind of okay. I get to hopefully cascade and get the Dragon's Magistrate out there. And if not, you're in a rough spot. But I do think that obviously Nadu is going to get banned in about a week's time. Touch wood. And that should free things up, we hope. I think this deck will be really real position still. Outside of that, so I played against Necro round 1 and then again in the semi-finals. That matchup's interesting, but like having Force to do the Necro side of things, and then also having like, you have like solid removal, you can get scammed and stuff, but you're not gonna lose the game to just a grief. You'll get some Rhinos eventually, you've got 8 Cascaders, like you'll hit, and then you've got good answers to some other plans. The real worry is like, hey, they get to do that. If they can scam and Necro, or scam and get like land a Shieldred and you're kind of like taxing your removal, can be quite awkward. And obviously like part of the reason why I like the matchup is because you have binding and force for the Necro for the Necro dominance. And without those, like, hey, if they do get to do their Necro thing, you are probably losing those games. But yeah, I'm like reasonably happy with that matchup. Then round 2 I played against Yawgmoth. I think that's pretty decent, especially with the Damping Matrix out of the board. Round 3 I played against Merfolk. Our player like crushed the Swiss, and then unfortunately lost to Boros in the top 4. But just like absolutely annihilated by Harbinger in the Seas. Like had like removal for a little bit, but then the disruption of the Merfolk deck to kind of support it. He's just really good at protecting it. And so it did lose that round 3. Won round 4 versus Jeskai. That matchup I think is fine. You have enough lines of attack, I think. You have enough things to deal with where like you can be in a pretty decent spot. I didn't get to do any of like the Bone Crusher stuff. And again, you don't really want it in the deck after game 1, but having it in the deck game 1 means you have another edge. But hey, I don't mind the Jeskai matchup. I think it's totally reasonable. And they have a lot to kind of deal with out of your deck. And then in top 4, again, like, yeah, I played against Necro again in the semis. It's like kind of like gone through that matchup a little already. And then in the finals, I played against Boros. I did also play the deck the day before at F&M playing Boros and lost to the finals of Boros there as well. The rough one. That was what led to me like putting the Deafening Clarions into my sideboard. To have a little bit more for that matchup. I think it is fine, but like you're under a lot of pressure quite quickly. They have some pretty nut starts. If you don't have that is kind of where you pay the price for having Bone Crusher over Fire and Ice. Because fire is incredible, right? You get to like snipe 2 creatures potentially, but really I lost to Ajani. Just super hard to deal with and play around. You're kind of like, oh, okay, kind of damned if you do, count damned if you don't, and put yourself in some pretty awkward positions. But yeah, overall, super happy with the deck. Didn't lose the finals. Did get the Supreme. The promos are wild stuff. Gonna be playing a few more. I'm not decided. There was a sealed one today that I was like, played yesterday. My back's killing me. I'm gonna take it easy. But I should be playing again next week, and then we'll see what happens after the bans. So yeah, playing an RCQ literally the day before the bans, and then we'll see what happens there. May or may not make a video about that. Do tend to focus on arena stuff here. The Explorer, which is the Pioneer equivalent format, and Timeless. But I do play a lot of Modern in paper, probably my most played format. And so I'm going to be playing a lot of RCQs. And yeah, let me know if you want to see some more Modern stuff. Obviously, this is like a paper deck tag. It's a bit different. This is actually weirdly like what I'd initially intended to do on the channel. But we just, yeah, like a bit of everything. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope it was insightful. Would definitely recommend Rhinos, especially going into a season without Nadi, or well, the rest of the season without Nadi. And so, hey, thanks for watching. Peace out. Have a great day.